What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of our weekly podcast. We are batting practice. We got a good one for you today. We'll be looking at some World Series potentials, maybe. I don't know. We will be predicting the World Series. Obviously, that's what we do here. But before we get into all that, I feel like we have a lot of pre-podcast stuff to talk about. First of all,
Oh God.
I won a card in a box that was not a tier 5.
Whoa.
I mean, this should be the biggest news ever, right? On the podcast that we've ever announced. It's possible. It was a Jonathan India limited card.
That's pretty
Uh,
good.
he's probably what do you think he is right now? Like a tier 3, maybe?
Yeah, rookie of the year.
Hey, he sells for like $4 or $5, so
There
it's
we
it's
go.
better than market
That's
credit.
that's a keep. That's a keep at this point.
For sure, for sure. So that's exciting. In less exciting news, Jacob has COVID once again. Sorry
I
to
didn't
expose your
know if you were
medical
going to
diagnosis.
glaze over that or if we were going to let everyone decide why I sounded a bit weird. Yeah,
Bath
we could have.
salts. Bath salts.
I might want to take one after this. Honestly, my
That's a good
muscles
idea.
need it.
There
Some
you go.
Epsom salt. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Yeah, I was telling Andrew Nash before you hopped on that I was asleep yesterday. Yesterday, hopefully, knock on wood, was the worst of the days. Every sickness, no matter what it is, no matter if it's COVID, a cold, the flu, there's always that one day which is clearly worse than the others.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that was yesterday. But I slept for 18 of 24 hours within the day. My eyes were closed and I was unconscious for 18 of them, for 75% of the hours in the day. And then that also includes sleeping in to about 9 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
So, yes, of the last 33 hours of my life up until 9 a.m. this morning, I was asleep for a good portion of them,
That's
for
incredible.
25 of them. Yeah. No, it's not. It's really not. It's not incredible at all. Would highly not recommend. Um, I feel like over the past 4 years, to get extremely political as we always do on this podcast, I did as much as I could to prevent getting the disease, and I have gotten it 3 times. So yeah, we're back and we're running it back with the Omega Sigma Epsilon, who knows what up version this is, coronavirus. Hey, it's all good though, because guess what?
What?
We are bringing. Uh-oh, never mind. I've put it away. I was going to bring
Oh,
back a segment from last week in terms of
Fungible.
fungibleness. Yes. I don't know where I put them though, but I have a giveaway for everyone. A fungible giveaway for everyone.
oh,
Yeah. Oh, here he is. It's our main man, no longer brewer, former Cy Young
Burns.
winner.
Oh,
oh,
Burnsy.
Cy Burns.
Cy Young
Oh,
Burns.
Dude, that's a
Corbin
sick card.
Burns on card autograph. I think I want to give this away to one of you guys out there listening.
all
Um,
right.
is he going to win another Cy Young? Probably. Honestly,
Not this
hear me out.
Nah,
screwball.
Scooble.
Hear me out.
Scooby-Doo.
Hear me out, though. Hall of Fame career. If he keeps up what he's done for another 7, 8 years, I don't know. Either way, he's a beast. He was in the All-Star game, started this year, won Cy Young a few years ago with the Brewers. Yeah, I haven't decided how to give him away yet, though, because I've been dead for the past 2 days. So
Fair
we'll do
enough.
it. We'll do it. We'll be back in order to celebrate Nosh's winning a card out of a box. We're going to give away a real life card in a box that I'll
There
send
you
to
go.
you.
I think in honor of that prediction, you need to travel to Cooperstown and post yourself in a random spot somewhere in town, and the first person that finds you gets the card. So,
Oh,
a lot of work, but I think it could be worth it.
So
I
in
like
order
that.
to give away a maybe $10 to $15 card, I would have to spend hundreds of dollars on a plane ticket. In fact, more, because no one flies to Cooperstown. You fly to New York.
Right.
Um,
Fly to Buffalo,
it makes
probably.
sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe if the Yankees are in the playoffs, maybe I can do this like in October
There you
and
go.
just accidentally hit up a Yankees game too.
There you go.
And I'll be that guy. I'll be that guy that randomly shows up in Cooperstown and takes the card
To
from you.
steal my
Andrew's saying this just to get the card from you.
Yeah, I kind of
In
want
the
the
most
card.
elaborate plan ever. Oh, that's funny. But continuing on, not in good news, moving on from Jacob's sickness. Andrew, you have some exciting news to share. You did something this week.
I was gonna say this is the second podcast I've been on this week.
Whoa.
I was the honorary guest in this week's episode of the Sideline Talk, hosted by Mr. Hunter Langle. Hopefully, I'm saying his last name right. Uh, no, Jacob shaking his head no.
I
But
honestly, Hunter,
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, I don't
you
know either.
don't
Sorry,
have the
Hunter.
easiest of last names.
yeah,
No.
is it French? Is it? I don't even
Yes,
know.
it has to be because he lives in the capital of my state, which is also French.
Oh, I mean,
Oh,
yeah, maybe
there you go.
I don't know.
It only makes
Frenchman
sense.
returns.
It only makes sense. He's in his homeland.
Anywho, Hunter is a
Why
great
did we
content
start off
creator.
with my COVID? This is so much cooler than my COVID.
This is true.
Hunter,
Not quite
But
as cool as
anyways,
winning
yeah,
Jonathan India in a box, though.
yeah,
I don't believe that
it's
it's
true.
all
Yeah,
Photoshop.
but
It's
anyways,
deep,
Andrew,
deep state.
yeah, yeah. When is this episode coming out? It's deep
Well,
state.
it's already out, guys. Hunter works quickly. We streamed live on X and YouTube, and not gonna lie, when he's like, "Hey, we're going live in like 5 minutes," I was like, "Live? I didn't know you did this live. I've come across it before, but I didn't realize that every episode he does. And we always record these, and honestly, it kind of does make me think we should start doing some of these live in the future because we had some great audience participation. It was fun to hear people's thoughts on different things as we were saying them. But I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous when he was like, "We're live with the world." We don't actually edit this at all. You probably can tell that by now. But we could theoretically edit something out if we didn't like it. Whereas when you go
True.
live, you are absolutely live, and that is a crazy feeling. So we're not anchors. We're not reading from some teleprompter. These are the thoughts that are in our head that are coming out to all of you. And yeah, shout out to Hunter for having me on. He had Jacob on as well earlier, and Josh. He said he's going to get in touch with you too. So
Well,
I
there you
look
go.
forward to that episode as well. And last thing I'll plug for him too, he does a great weekly Sorare MLB newsletter, has all of the best picks for the game week. I read it every week as I'm setting my lineups, and go check it out and subscribe to it as well. It's a great tool in your Sorare arsenal.
Yeah. Something also cool, speaking of tools about your Sorare arsenal, um, the community. The
Community's great.
podcast community is great. Yeah. It's not like we have anyone out there besides YNWA. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um
Wow.
I'm
Good thing we're not
kidding.
live, so we can edit that
Yeah.
out.
Yep, edited.
I don't know. No, there's everyone's feedback, whether it's on Twitter or on wherever, is greatly appreciated, or at least heard. At least heard and is looked over, not necessarily appreciated, but brought into account for sure. And that's something that we can do with all these tools that we have out here too. Like not just us, like you just said, you subscribe to Hunter's Substack. I listen to his podcast every week and sometimes even manage to catch it live. It's great. And there's other podcasts out there too. And even just on Twitter, people posting their
Oh yeah.
threads of like, for example, players that are starting in the MLS this week. It's all out there. So if you aren't hitting podium, you have no excuse.
Shoot, I have no excuse.
I know. I haven't hit a. We've only had one podium this year, boys. I think.
Hunter, we talked about that briefly, and I was like, Hunter, you're talking to a guy that won in the past. I don't know if I'm the best person for this. I haven't won it. I mean, I have had some top finishes this year, but nothing anywhere close to sniffing a podium. I think it's just gotten harder, and I'd like to think it's gotten harder and that I haven't gotten worse. But I guess those are the same thing. If everyone around you gets better and you stay the same, you probably did get relatively worse. But hopefully, I tell myself I'm due. Just like Josh winning his box, I've been boxless ever since our live stream that cursed me. But like that box unveiling, I think I'm also due for a podium. We'll see if that actually happens this season.
Yeah. Well, speaking of podium in this season,
Let's win.
an easier-ish way, maybe not, to hit the podium is when there's less people competing. And when there's less people competing in the postseason, because not everyone has a full team. In fact, I would say a lot of people don't have full teams. And sure, you're going to have to compete against Otani's, Judges, Soto's, and then the likes of pitchers equal to the same. Corbin Burns, we just mentioned him. But if you have a full team, there's a good chance that you'll be coming up against Otani's who don't have full teams.
Yep.
A lot of people will build their teams around their star power, their hot rod, and some people who spent a lot of money on Otani might not have another Dodger stack to put behind him for the playoffs. And if you have that stack, hey, you never know. And I mean, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to be hopping in and talking about playoff teams. And not only playoff teams, but good playoff teams. We're limiting it to 4 teams total here. We got the Yankees. We're going real boring here. We got the Yankees. We got the Dodgers. And then, surprise, out of left field, coming in. They weren't hot this year until they thought they were. And then they realized that they were. And with the help of some also terrible play out there in the West, the Astros? What? Are we talking about the Astros? And of
First.
course, to round it all off back in the NL, the Phillies as well. My Phillies that I've picked 2 years in a row to win the World Series, and we will see. We will see about them. But just those 4 teams, we're going to be building a team, and we're going to try and stay around $100-ish for this team as well. So not only that, we're already excluding ourselves Otani and Judge and Soto and a lot of other players too. So let's do it. Let's just hop right in. Yeah.
And we're assuming too that the rules for the competition, it hasn't been announced as we're recording this, but we expect the requirements to be consistent with the chases and other special weeklies, where we'll be able to use 6 in-season cards and 1 classic season card. So maybe what we'll do is we'll look at the most expensive card that we want to purchase and get the classic version of that, save a little bit of money. Generally, that's how I like to build my lineups when I'm able to include a classic card, is use it on the card that is most expensive. So you'll save the most amount of money you can. But yeah, we're gonna build this stacked playoff team, and maybe what you guys will do next week's episode, I'll drop it since I'm not gonna be here. You could do the reverse and do the Cinderella teams where we start with the Brewers. Although I don't know if they're really Cinderella guys. Maybe we're Snow White. We start with the teams that are going to maybe do a Nationals-esque run all the way. The Diamondbacks of last year. If you'd have bought a Diamondback stack at the beginning of the playoffs last season, you probably would have done really well for yourself, because as there are fewer teams, the good players on these generally have a price rise. So if you are looking for the playoffs now, this is a great time to relatively to look into getting those cards. Obviously, that can change every year, so take it with a grain of salt. But historically speaking, this has been a good time.
Yeah, and let's assume too that they're going to be giving away, first and foremost, special cards for the postseason as they did last year. That's almost a guarantee. But also maybe some merch for top 3, some signed merch maybe for top 3. And let's try and win some merch or something, But Andrew, something that you mentioned, yes, is that we're always going to try and win here on the podcast. We're always going to play our players and not try and sell them. I mean, we do sell them for profit. This is what we do, but it's not the main talking point of the podcast. But if you did, like you said, buy a Diamondback stack, say right now, last year, you could have sold those players for a pretty penny come the middle of October.
Yep.
I guarantee you
For
could have
sure.
probably doubled your money, if not more than that. Yeah. So, anyways, let's see. What are
All
we
right.
talking about? So Rare Data. Also,
Sh-
shout out. We haven't shouted out So Rare Data
I know we
for
haven't.
the one click export to So Rare that has been talked about since I remember using So Rare Data. But you can now export your what do you call them?
Soccer
The your
lineups.
soccer lineups. The squads that you build in So Rare Data.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
just click export to So Rare and it works.
Yep.
Granted, I only have 2 football teams that I set per week that aren't rivals, so I don't really use it. But for people that are setting 30 lineups a week, that must be fantastic.
It would be great for baseball for me. I would definitely
Yeah.
would set I usually do it both at the same time. I'll set both. But if I could do one click for Sorare MLB in Sorare data, that will be fantastic. So hopefully it's on the roadmap for maybe this season, but I'll take NBA too if they can get that up before this coming season. So shall we start with the team in the AL East, the New York's only team? Oh wait, I forgot about the Mets. We don't
Oh,
want to talk
hey,
about them.
bubble team. Hold
Oh,
on.
Bubble
bubble team maybe.
team.
Cinderella team maybe. But shall we start with the Yankees?
I think it's important to note too, these teams might seem boring to you, but they are not random. They are the top 2 teams in the NL and AL in terms of odds to make the World Series or win the World Series. So boring, yes, but there is a method to the madness. They are the top, at least right now, according to Fangraphs, they have the highest percent. So that's what we're basing it off
Yeah,
of.
that's a good point, Nash. We would love to have picked the Orioles and the Guardians and the Brewers, but yeah, we're going with what's on paper here.
Yep. Yeah, if you want to buy the fewest amount of cards for this offseason, these are probably the teams that you should target players from. And if you want to stretch your budget the most, buying, I always recommend saving a little bit too. So, maybe if you do have $100 to spend, we'll see how much this team comes out to. But I'm already looking at some of these prices and they're a lot lower, honestly, than what I was expecting. So shall we build it position by position? Obviously targeting the ones on the Yankees who we think are a good value. I'm sure if we scroll down to Mr. Judge and Soto, they could easily break our budget we've set. So perhaps looks like lots of good value here from a starting pitching perspective on the Yankees.
Oh yeah. Um, I own a Nasty Nestor Cortez myself, and he's one of the most consistent pitchers I feel like on a week-to-week basis. Um, seems like he will never put up a bad start under like 15 points. I don't know why. I feel like he's always hitting that like 20 to 30 range, and that's kind of what you need, especially in the postseason from a starting pitcher. Um, you'll see a lot of shorter leashes in the postseason too.
Yeah.
So those innings numbers that you get points for will be eaten up. But Nasty Nestor, and look at his cost.
No,
Yeah,
$2. Two
Two
super
bucks.
cheap.
bucks. $2. If we're giving ourselves $100 budget, that's 5%.
I mean, maybe we do get a
Sorry,
judge at the end of the day.
that's 2%.
Yeah. So here, I'll save them for now. We can
Yeah.
build
Oh
a new
yeah, a
watch
new
list,
watch list.
and we'll call this episode. We'll say great playoff, or maybe say playoff team building. And we'll put this as public. So if you want to check this out later, you definitely can. We'll link to it in the video. So we'll add this to our playoff team building. Obviously, we might end up getting rid of Nestor in the end, especially if we have lots of money remaining and we want to upgrade to maybe a better pitcher. I know we're going to look at the Phillies in a little bit too, but certainly he seems like a great value here. any of the relievers, I know I won Mr. Clay Holmes in a box not too long ago. His ever since I sold, I think he's been a little bit hasn't had that charm as he once had. But still a great reliever on a great team. Anyone else in the bullpen strike your guy's eye?
For fun, former Brewer Jake Cousins,
I mean,
who's
that is pretty
he's
fun.
been pretty okay too for them this year. But no, I really think, well, let's think about this for the next minute. Do you want a closer in the postseason?
Yes.
Because that's what I was gonna say. I think, and if we're including the Astros in this, I think Clay Holmes or Josh Hader, that's like a go-to. Like you're
Hmm.
gonna want one of those guys for sure. I didn't win him, but I purchased a Clay Holmes a while ago for I think it was about $5, so I actually lost some money on it because he's still gone down. But it's a perennial postseason team, the Yankees. He's only 31. He's got plenty of years left for a reliever. I think that's a good spot to put him in there.
All right, let's add him to the list. Obviously, at $5, we still have lots of budget to work with. As we scroll through to position players in the outfield again, we still have two flex spots open, so we probably will take two extra hitters as well. But our outfielder right now is wide open. As you can see here, both Judge and Soto are already over our budget. So we'll have to look elsewhere when it comes to these guys. Uh, Josh, anyone from the outfield striking your fancy when it comes to the Yankees?
See, it's hard because you lose two out of the three positions in the outfield because Judge and Soto will be out there every day. And like you said, they are so expensive. Now, in terms of predicting who's going to be that third outfielder in the playoffs, it's hard to tell. Chisholm has been struggling with injuries since he's come over to the Yankees. Stanton is probably going to more so be their DH. That's what I would guess. And then you
Yes.
even have guys like Verdugo who can play in the outfield. I don't know if he's going to start in the outfield in the playoffs because he hasn't been great this year for them. So I'm assuming if Chisholm is healthy, he will be the third outfielder, although his preferred position is center field and Judge has that locked up. Now he can play left field, he can play right field, so can Soto. So I think they're not too afraid of playing them in their secondary outfield positions. Um, I'm pretty confident that Chisholm would play over Verdugo at this point. So I think if you wanted to, you could go Stanton. He's probably going to DH for them, like I said, but he does have that outfield positioning. So you could use him as more of your budget player. He's getting old, but he still has that home run potential, big power. Um, and in the
Yeah, let's
playoffs, you
see.
never know. So one or two home runs in a series, and you'll be looking pretty darn good.
There's some
There's
great.
your big game potential right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stanton's
And
kind of
set
a fun pick for the postseason.
Yeah.
Like
And
he
we're
will play every game
right.
as a DH. He won't do anything else, but he will play every game as a DH.
And we're trying to win this year. So when we're making these picks, keep in mind like these are not players that we're of course, with the beauty of Sorare, you own these cards into next season, but we're trying to win right now. We want to win that cash prize with the chase. So I think Stanton is a great value pick. I mean, considering he's $5
That's
compared
crazy.
to over 100 for both Judge and Soto, deservedly valuations, but I think for our purposes, he's a great pick for our outfield, and we can also likely use him in the DH spot as well. All right, middle infielders, lots of good value here too. Not the Yankees, maybe Mr. Torres or Volpe, but compared to their outfield studs, the Yankees kind of feel like a team where you have their starting pitchers, Judge and Soto, and I don't know, is there anyone else that you'd include? Or is that a period instead of a comma?
Hear me out. No. Um, And it's not a no in general. It's that we have three other teams that we have, and I
Yeah,
think we have better choices at every single position than the Yankees do in the infield.
yeah.
See, now the Yankees have great odds. They're gonna be in the postseason. They have pretty good odds at the World Series. But when you're looking at this team outside of Judge and Soto, there's a huge drop off in their lineup. Now Judge and Soto can easily carry them to the World Series, just the two of them. But they're kind of lacking that a couple of other like middle to higher level players to kind of back up their two stars. We talked about Stanton, Chisholm, but their infield is not super impressive. So, like Jacob said, I think there's gonna be better options on the other teams.
I'd say if
All
you
right.
want to put anyone on this list there, I would say Anthony Volpe. Just very young, still exciting to watch. He's had a bit of a struggle, but he started off hot this year too. So
Yeah, let's see those scores of late. Yeah, still
yeah,
like Stanton, lots of green. Obviously, you have those games where he doesn't perform, but he does have that potential to score
And he
big. So,
plays.
and he
yeah.
starts. He
Which
starts.
is extremely important come playoff time because teams kind of shake up their lineups and some guys get the boot that normally start for teams. So,
Yeah,
by
so
the
let's
way, going back to the outfield quick, it looks like Chisholm and Verdugo are kind of splitting time.
mm,
So you run the risk of not getting the starts with those two guys.
and at $18, that's a little bit too much of our budget for a player that isn't playing all the time.
Right.
Um,
Again,
so
if
yeah,
if I was the Yankees manager, I would be putting Chisholm out there every single day, but I'm not. So
all right. Let's move over across the country to our favorite team, the LA Dodgers.
Yeah, go
uh,
Dodgers.
yeah,
Wow. Glass now is only
Glass now has
$11.
dropped off. When did you sell him? Or what
I
did you
sold
sell
them
him for?
for $50.
That's
50
crazy.
American
that is
dollars.
nuts.
I mean, side note, if you do want to, if you are a sober trader, I do think if you already have a team early on in the season, selling your in-season cards in those first months probably makes a better sense from a profit perspective. Now is the time to load up on guys like Glass now. So I'm a buyer right now. I was a seller before. Uh, but I mean, Jack Flaherty, he's been pitching great for the Dodgers. I hate to see it because he played for my two least favorite teams. Um, anyone else? I mean, Clayton Kershaw still pitching. They got a pretty good rotation, don't they, guys?
They do. And I mean,
They
don't
do.
forget about your White Sox legend, Michael Kopech, too. I think Glass now, we just throw him right on the list.
Yeah,
I think with that low of a price floor now from what he used to cost and what he can still put up, as long as he stays healthy, yeah, that's what we want.
yeah. Let's look at his latest scores. Have they dropped off? Obviously, he did start the season off fantastic. Uh, he hasn't hit those quite the same high games. However, he could just be getting ready for the playoffs too. And even a 32 is a great score, especially in the playoffs when the scores are a little bit lower. And his floor isn't all that low. There are pitchers that have their blow up games. Thinking of you, Frambler. I love you, man, but your floor can be all over the place
Hey, he's been
sometimes.
elite recently though.
I know. He's
True.
got a great ceiling too, but I do like that Glass now has that strikeout floor where kind of always make sure he's going to get you a decent score.
I think as just a quick aside, he is hurt right now. He's projected to come back before the playoffs start. But it is a little concerning, especially if you're going to spend 12, 13 bucks out of your $100 budget. That is over 10% of your budget.
Yep.
On somebody who's hurt right now, you never really know. It's an elbow injury too, on top of
Hmm.
that, which for pitchers is kind of a question mark. So he's projected to come back at this point. Just keep in mind he is hurt right now. You never really know what could happen.
That's a great call out. So yeah, maybe if there's someone else that we think is in the same category, maybe we choose them over Glasnow when it comes to the final list. Dodgers relievers,
Here
kind
we
of
go.
all over the place.
I actually think okay, so the Dodgers have a absolutely like they have the most textbook revolving door bullpen ever. They've used probably 5 or 6 different relief pitchers as closers this year. So it's been impossible to predict who they're gonna throw out there. I want to say Evan Phillips of as of late has been their more consistent closer. Um, and for what was it, $2-3? It's not terrible. He does have that big game potential, big game week potential. But yeah, it's a little bit risky going into that Dodgers bullpen. I'll say that because they've been using all sorts of different people all year long.
Yeah, so maybe this is a position we avoid. I can tentatively add him to our list. Of course, we can cut him. Obviously looking back at the Yankees, I think Clay Holmes is probably a much safer bet at just over $5 compared to 250. Obviously if it comes down to budget at the end, we can look and see who else we might want to add. But for now, I think we move on from the bullpen. Outfield, one big name for me, Mr. Mookie Betts. Uh, Honestly, they're compared to the Yankees, the Dodgers outfield is not that great. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah. If you take away Mookie, yeah. Jason Hayward no longer on the team.
Yeah.
By the way, what? I
Yeah.
made a YouTube short about it because it kind of made me a little mad. Because he
Hey,
came in, pinch hit a go ahead home run, and then they DFA'd him. He's a good
you
player.
you want to talk about a budget buy? Jason Hayward is selling for
Yes,
$1.30 right
he
now.
will be on a playoff team
He will
come
be
October. Mark
he
my
will be
words.
on a playoff.
Mark my words.
If he's not on the Braves, I will be shocked. The Braves
With
will definitely claim him.
what the Brewers get him.
No shot. We don't need an outfielder.
We don't need an outfielder.
We do need a
DH,
lefty bat though.
DH,
We do need a
DH.
lefty bat. You do make a good point.
Okay. So you have that here. Jacob and Josh going on record. So what will you do for the fans if he doesn't give away his fungible, give away his Sorare card? Anything to
Oh,
back up what you're saying?
well, as of one
I
hour
already give
ago,
away all my stuff. It's okay.
ESPN 97.5 Houston is reporting that the Astros are nearing a deal to
Oh my
sign Jason
God.
Hayward.
Well,
Astros, see?
all
Okay.
right. We're gonna add him to the
Now
list.
you can go to my short. I made it 2 days ago before Houston reported this. And I said, I finished this YouTube video saying, I guarantee he will be picked up by a playoff team.
Yes.
That's awesome. We got to clip that.
I
It's
don't
been
need to give
clipped.
away anything because I'm right. Gavin Lux has been really good for me this season. Really,
He's
really good.
yeah.
He was
At,
hurt and had a terrible preseason and had not that good a start to the regular season and has been so solid since and is such a budget buy. I don't think he'll be playing shortstop, but he could because Mookie's hurt and I don't really understand the Dodgers infield entirely at the moment.
so long as the Sorare card
Gavin
that you're
Lux, I mean.
buying says middle infielder, I don't care
Yeah.
where he actually shows up in the field. All that matters for Sorare is what is on his card that cannot be taken away. So yeah, let's add him, and if the Dodgers choose to play him elsewhere, we're safe from a position standpoint. For me, maybe Will Smith, but I still have a little bit of bias against catchers. But Will Smith does play pretty much every single game. He's going through a little bit of a slow patch at the plate. Anyone besides him, I know Chris Taylor has been a Brewer killer in the past, but unless they're playing the Brewers, he doesn't play well from a SOAR perspective or IRL perspective. But anyone else besides
Hear me
Will
out.
Smith?
Hear me out. What is a last year version of a Mookie or a Freddie cost?
Oh,
because we're gonna need to step up our players eventually. We're gonna need
True.
one like Freddie. There we go. That's a pretty good player to maybe build $100 postseason team around.
Yep.
Had a
We
little
do. Yeah,
bit of
we
a
do.
weird thing with his thumb going on there, injury wise, but it seems to be fine. I think we might put Freddie on there, man. Why not? And like you
Yeah.
said, we want to win this year. I'm hearing a dog bark. Can you guys hear the dog bark?
Oh, he
Nice.
likes Freddie though.
He was about Freddie. Yeah, he was really about Freddie. If we want to win this year, him being 34, doesn't matter. He's still got 5 good years left of him anyways.
Yep. And we want to win now.
Yeah.
So
So I think
all right.
that's a good player to maybe put a step up in
I
terms of our
like it.
budget into the list. And then what do you say? Hop on back over to the AL?
So we go to the Stros,
Let's do
Mr.
it.
Hayward's new team.
Jason Hayward.
Ooh, we'll see. It's a great take though.
Yeah, this is
Decent.
another one. Like an Altuve might be in a solid place for our budget. Who knows? Man.
They have a decent amount of starting pitchers. Obviously, we added a few from the Dodgers and Yankees. Josh, I know you look excited. Is there anyone on this list that's catching your eye?
You can't really go wrong with any of the Astros starting pitchers. But the main man who they traded for from your Toronto Blue Jays, Yusei Kikuchi, has been pitching
been hot.
unbelievable for them.
I have
Like
his card
really,
too.
Me
really
too.
good for them. And he's selling for $5 or $6. So he'll be a starter come playoff time. Again, these 3-game series, assuming these teams aren't the ones that get the first round bye, will be a little weird. Especially if they don't go the full 3 games, they might not pitch in that first round, but it's impossible to predict at this point. But Kikuchi has been really good for them, and he's not too expensive.
All right, let's throw him on. But
And
as good as
also, speaking of
Kikuchi
not
is,
that expensive, Framber
right?
is not that
I was just
expensive.
Yeah, I
saying,
mean,
Framber's not
Frambler,
bad either.
720 for a Frambler. Obviously, Kikuchi is cheaper, but for $2 more, should we just get a Frambler?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, we'll add them both.
But I was gonna say, don't discount Kikuchi. I'd put him on there too.
Absolutely not. Is McCullers expected to be back?
No.
No, he is
I
out.
would
He has
say
been
he's out for the
a
year.
solid staple of my training lineup for the past year and a half. He's been his bonus is going through the roof right now, but he hasn't scored a single point for my Solar team.
Guys,
Ouch.
I know he's 73 years old, but don't count out Justin Verlander
Also,
in the
gonna say
playoffs.
kind of passed over him. Yeah.
$1 for like
I know.
$1.50.
So
Okay.
cheap.
Yeah, he could be at the dollar store. So
Again,
dollar store pitcher.
You don't really know what you're gonna get out of him. He hasn't pitched a ton this year, and he's
Same.
41 years old, but he has playoff experience and he's been good in the playoffs. So why not?
Look, he
For that
just
cheap.
pitched.
Yep.
He
Was
just
that one
pitched.
It was one of his first games back, wasn't it? Am
And
I
you
making that
know
up?
that he is going to show up
Yeah.
for the playoffs too. He is he is an experienced guy. He's got that veteran experience. I love him for the playoffs. So let's make sure to include them in our list.
See, it's his first. It was his first game back pitching since June, and he comes out. He throws 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. I mean, come on, it's Justin Verlander.
Former Cy Young
Yeah.
by a lot. Yeah. MVP quality pitcher.
Mr. Hader.
I think Hader is just like, if you want to have a closer that's going to play and be good, like think about how he played for the Brewers in the postseason. He would come in, he would throw 2 innings sometimes.
Yep.
And he can do that for the Astros too.
Yeah, let's throw him on this list so we have some options.
I think
Costs a little bit more than Holmes, but
so two guys here outside of Hader catch my eye. Ronald Blanco has been really good out of their bullpen. If you wanted to save a little bit more money, he's not going to get the save points, but he will get the hold points. Little more sporadic. He's been starting for them too.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty
Again,
good.
come playoff
He's got
time,
a little bit of Spencer Strider going on there.
come playoff time, I don't think he's gonna be it. I don't know. It's hard to say. He might get pushed up to the bullpen because they have enough guys in the rotation. But the guy that stands out to me is the guy they just picked up off of waivers from the Chicago Cubs, Hector Neris. Now,
Maurice.
he's had a bad year with the Cubs, but he is that guy that will come over to the Astros and probably have like a 1.3 ERA out of the bullpen for them because why wouldn't he? Because it's the
Also,
Astros.
former Astro, by the way.
Also former Astro,
Full
correct.
circle.
So, and he's a dollar. So if you wanted to go a little bit more on the budget route, again, not going to get the save points, but odds are he's probably going to end up being great for the Astros because why wouldn't he be?
All right, we're
So
throwing him on there.
players that were throwing like a Verlander or a Neris, these are players where if you used like maybe you wanted to buy Freddie and another hitter in terms of Freddie quality, like another $30 hitter.
Yeah.
Then you might want to squeeze in one of those dollar or two pitchers and relievers. Not necessarily how I would go about it, but if that's how you want to build your lineup around, then that's why we're adding these players to the list too. Man, I wish Kyle Tucker wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
Will he ever
He's
come back? What a weird situation.
I know. He was so good for me too.
60-day IL. But his price right now, obviously they've stopped minting his new cards. It's around $50. Even Jordan, half the budget on one player, probably a little bit too rich, but maybe if we get enough Verlanders, enough Blancos, enough Nerises, we can afford to
Look
spend
at
up on
that.
one
Look at
guy.
that little 5'6" guy hanging out down there
I
at the
think we look
bottom.
look at a former multiple time
$10.
MVP down there.
$10. That is value.
Again,
Even
Yeah,
if
Jeremy
you
throw
wanted,
emails.
I would
Easy.
say, if you wanted to go and save a little bit more money, somebody like Jeremy Pena will be their starting shortstop, and he's half the price as Altuve. So a little bit more of a budget buy, but probably a little bit lower ceiling in terms of scoring.
Let's throw Altuve on. And honestly, would you rather have Volpe or would you rather have Pena going into the playoffs?
Hmm. I think
It's a
they're
good question.
relatively even.
They're very similar, yeah.
Yeah,
I
very
think out of
similar.
all of those, I think I would choose Altuve.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Spend
Yeah.
up a little bit more to get a little bit more quality.
All right. Corner fielders, Breggy
Yeah.
at 672.
Yeah. He's been pretty hot recently too. Everyone
He's
else,
been-
absolutely not.
No.
He's the
All right,
only
let's-
like
A corner fielder can be an expensive position because lots of first baseman and third baseman are generally some of the better hitters on a team. So at $6.72, that's a pretty good value. All right. I think we exhausted the Astros. Should we move on quickly to the Phillies so we can make sure that
round
we
it out, yeah.
round it out? Obviously, they got lots of good players on the Phillies. One of the teams I own a lot of silver cards of. So many good options.
I mean,
Okay.
any
I've
of their
said-
pitchers.
I was just gonna say, I know I've said this already, but out of these four teams, the Phillies might have the best starting pitching out of them. So you really can't go wrong. They've had one of the better starting pitching throughout the whole season, so you can't really go wrong here.
Comparatively, I mean, Mr. Wheeler is one of the more expensive pitchers that we are looking
Right.
at. Nola seems like a good, if we are on a budget, Nola seems like a great option. Even Ranger Suarez.
Right.
Him and Nola are about the same price.
These
you
are
could
all
get
current or former
both.
All-Stars too.
Yeah. Yeah, we could get both of them for the same price as one Zach Wheeler. However, in a game week, we can only start one starting pitcher. So it does make sense to go quality over quantity. So maybe do we add all three and then cut from there?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. And I'm very curious what this total cost is going to be before we even make a single cut.
Mhm.
Obviously, we've added way more than we can actually use in a lineup. Coming out of the bullpen, their closing situation, I always look for the Phillies as starting pitchers, but They also have a decent bullpen. Anyone from there that really stands out to you guys?
I think compared to what we already have, not really.
Yeah.
Christopher Sanchez is a starter. He does not come out of the bullpen. He could come out of the bullpen in the playoffs, but that would be burning your starter spot, and you don't really want to do that. Because his card in Sorare, at least for this year, is a starting position card as I own it. But yeah, nothing really
Yeah.
excites me more than what we already have.
Yep.
And I'm mainly looking at, again, Josh Hader and Clay Holmes there, but
So let's say we did have a decent amount of budget left. Is a guy like Bryce Harper someone that you would be willing to put almost half of your budget in if we did, or
See,
would you rather have someone like a Mookie, or who is, do you trust him enough to put that much money into him if we're trying to win this thing this year?
I've been waiting for this one. Now, of all the big name players that we've talked about, I think Harper would be my number one pick here. I think I'd rather have him over Freddie Freeman.
Oh,
yeah,
He's a little
I
bit
think
more
so too.
expensive, but Harper just has that
He's got
thing
the
about him in
vibes.
the playoffs.
He's got the
Like,
playoff vibes, man.
look at his playoff stats. He loves the playoffs. He hits real well in them. So, um, he's been kind of on the struggle bus as of late. He's been slumping a little bit, but there you go.
these
Some
were his
big
stats
games.
last
Some big games
October.
in October.
Yep. Look at that. Lots of green dots there. 37 points in a single game against the Atlanta Braves, who had amazing starting pitching last season. So I do like it. Another name I really like, obviously I'm biased. I own his card, but Mr. Schwarber. I
Yeah,
love guys that can just hit home runs, can change your game week on a dime. He has that playoff expertise, just like Harper does. Again, that to me is what makes the Phillies very scary for any other team when it comes to the playoffs this year. Uh, Schwarber and Harper, honestly, I kind of like them just as much as Judge and Soto, and you can get them for less than half the cost of one of Judge and Soto. So that's crazy to me that those two players combined aren't being valued as highly as a Judge and Soto. Granted, those two are having off the rail seasons, but Schwarber and Harper, come playoff time, I don't like really anyone better.
Yeah. And
no, I
Schwarber will
agree.
be hitting leadoff, so he'll be
That's I.
getting four
You
or
beat me
five at
to it.
bats a game.
You beat me to it. But it's an atypical, at least from what you would think of baseball growing up. You always thought about like the short, fast guy leading off. So in that case, he's atypical. But man, is it fun to watch him start off a game with a home run, because that's happened plenty of times this
For
season.
sure.
And I guarantee you that he has a few homers in the playoffs too. So
Absolutely.
Yep.
yeah,
Absolutely.
look
Middle
at this infield.
infielders.
There's a solid few amount in here that I would also choose from. And without glazing over it or too much, I think we could throw Trey Turner in.
Does he justify it? I agree. He's got that name, but
I think
you know, I,
that's a sneaky one we could throw in there. I don't think he would make the final cut for our team.
so yeah, looking at, so if you look back at playoff Trey Turner last season, obviously, he has the potential to have some amazing game weeks. He can struggle from time to time. We look at his scores this year. I remember when we were building our common team, we actually did end up taking him with one of our higher budget picks. To me, he's kind of like a little bit Corey Seager-esque this year, where he's a big name coming in. He's been amazing, but has he been producing as Trey Turner? I don't know. Um, but I certainly think we can include him in this first round of cuts. But if I look at Harper or Schwarber, I'd much rather have those two on my team than Turner.
And if we're talking middle infielder, like him and Altuve are probably would be the
Yeah,
comparison. And
yeah.
I think I would probably lean slightly towards Altuve at this point, but they would be kind of like the same pick in terms of price range and performance.
I mean, you know what Altuve also has is that little old Crawford box out in left field too that he gets to
Right.
work with.
Yep.
Right.
That being said, let's not skip over JT Realmuto,
I was gonna
former
say his
All-Star.
name. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of Bryson Stott, but I don't think he makes the cut
Yeah.
necessarily. And the only reason Realmuto gets glazed over is because he's a catcher. But again, catchers that are starting and also former All-Stars will play every day in the postseason.
Yep.
So I think that might be where we round our list off,
Wow.
is right about
Let's
there.
see this.
And let's peep at it. Yeah.
So obviously when we
You're not
built
going to put Alec Bohm on there?
no. Did
I
we
You
thought we
skip
skipped
past?
over. You
we
skipped over
skipped him
corner
over.
infield.
Oh my gosh. I didn't
There
Oh
he
scroll that
is.
man,
far.
There he is. All right, put him in there.
There we
I don't
go.
think he'll make the final cut.
That's the
But
thing. He's actually more expensive than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, that's a big price for not that great of production this year. All right. It'll be very curious to see in this list how the price graph has been looking over time. Let's first look at that. Obviously, when we looked compared to our great players on bad teams, we saw a pretty steep drop off. Looking at this, obviously, we're limited players. So we could have had
wow,
a lot of these guys for about 27 bucks early on in the season. Now it's only 13 bucks. It'll be very interesting if we look in 1 month come playoff time what these prices look at, but this is the lowest they have been this season, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, now's the time to buy.
bye bye
All
bye.
right. So if we're looking at this list, obviously I can filter it, I think by, if we group it by position, we'll start first with pitchers. So we pick one of these guys within our
Ooh,
team. So many good options here.
I think I have my vote already.
You want to
And
say
it's
it?
crazy that his price is this low. Yeah,
Ooh,
Framber. Framber's my guy.
yeah, yeah. When you
Um,
see them side by side,
all of the Phillies intrigue me so much. If I'm picking one guy who's shown it in the past too, consistency, Framber's my guy.
when you see him side by side with Wheeler, Glasnow in that same list, his price just jumps out from a misprice. Just he's significantly less, $5 less than either Wheeler or Glasnow, and he has the highest L5 of any pitcher we have on this list. I like it.
I mean,
Yeah.
just take a peep at that overall ranking. He's fifth overall for starting pitching.
Yep.
The next best is Glasnow and Wheeler, but outside of that, nobody comes close to fifth.
Right.
All right, looking at relievers next. So we have Frambler as our first pick for pitcher. Reliever, do we do the stack? I love it. I was talking about with Hunter. I love the starting pitcher reliever from the same team. It's amazing when those two can work out for each other. With only $7 going to Frambler, I think 10 for Hader makes a lot of sense.
Doable.
All right. So
Very
we got
doable.
Hader.
I think the
Outfield.
beauty of our list right now too is we're gonna pick guys based on price and whatever. But if you look at the other names on these lists, if you yourself are actually buying these players, there's options that if you wanted to spend $3 or $4 instead of 10, they're right there for you. So I think that's we did a good job kind of spreading that out.
Yeah, and you can see that here too. Um, gosh, as a leadoff hitter, man, Schwarber in the playoffs,
Yeah, 23. So we'll be
23
about
bucks for a
40.
home run hitter.
So we'd be about $40 then with Schwarby. I
I
like
want
it.
to see.
$60 to work with. If I go then to middle infielders, the final cut. So we have $60 to work with, and we need to get 4 more players. So we have about $15 to work with on average. We could easily afford Altuve. So then we'd have 50 to spread over our last 5 players. That work for everyone?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
And let's also not buy all Astros.
True. When you are building this list, of course, uh, although I was thinking about it, if you do have a fixed amount of budget, do you put it all in one team and just kind of say to yourself,
Yeah,
hey,
that's a way to do it.
yeah. And maybe we could do that with a Cinderella team next too. Shoot, I mean Bregman, he's a great buy with this.
I might give the shout to Alec Bohm though. How
Alec
much
Bohm.
money? How much money are we saying we have left for our budget here?
So if we ended up taking Altuve, we would have uh $50 left across two or three more players. We need a corner and then two additional hitters.
Okay. Yeah. So if we're saying we're halfway done, I feel like we could we could afford an Alec Bohm.
I like it. So that means we have
And he
30.
was for a bit this year, he was the leader in National
Yeah.
League RBIs for a while.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that we have $30 to work with on
40.
40.
No? Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think 40. I think
40,
40,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, $40 across two people. We could go get a Turner and then we could get someone else that's a little cheaper. We could try to get two middle ground players. We could try to stretch it and get a Harper and say, I'll just spend $10 more than I wanted to. I don't know. Anyone else? Turner?
There's a shout for doing somebody like Anthony Volpe and then Freddie
Hmm.
Freeman.
Yeah,
And that puts
that
you right
works.
at 40 right there.
We
Yeah.
could also squeeze like
Stanton and Freddie?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um is this 12 players? Is that all? There's no more scroll down.
I think this is it. Yeah,
Okay,
'cause
cool.
looking across
Yeah.
all of them.
I think we've already chosen Schwarber.
Yep.
I think you're right. If we're saying it's 100, I say we go Freddie and Bregman. Let's pretend it's 75 if we only have 15 more dollars. Maybe
Yeah.
Volpe and Bregman?
I think that works.
Look at that.
Wow.
For now, let's say Freddie and what do you think? Volpe or Bregman? Volpe's a little younger.
Freddie and Bregman, maybe.
Bregman's gonna have more playoff experience for sure.
Yep. And we want to win now. We don't if we're totally saying like next year's utility, 5 years utility doesn't matter. I think Bregman now.
Yeah. Sweet.
Wow. We have a great list. I'll compile this out. We can make a final cut, but we just built, yeah, I think a pretty good. I might go out and buy this team, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Let's put it to the test.
Yeah.
It's the only best way to do it. I think we real quick, especially after last week's poor performance, we got to rally off a pickle real quick.
That's right.
Ooh. All right. Let me build. As Josh is pulling it up, let me put together our final list. The final cut.
Then we can get an exact price for everybody.
Yeah. We're gonna do a list within a list, like Inception.
Oh. It's gonna be like spot on $100.
Although it might be more expensive if I go out and buy all these players.
You're gonna raise the price of everybody. What about
Maybe.
your $8,000 in market credit?
Oh, then I could actually get these for a lot less.
That's
Yeah,
true
a
if
very
you're
good
bidding
point.
on them. Wait, did we specify one of our cards as a last season card?
No, so we even have more budget
So we
to
could
work
even
with than
technically have a little bit more budget if we bought like a last year Schwarber or something. Yeah.
we're
How about that?
we're
Well
sitting
done.
good, guys. We're
Yeah,
Josh,
sitting
you want to
great.
pull up this pickle?
You could do like a last year Schwarber and then go out and get Harper or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Or sit on auctions, snipe an auction and get
yeah.
a really good deal too.
Max bid, baby. All right.
This
Pickle.
list is looking fire, boys.
Pickle, pickle. All right, here we go. Bang.
It's got to be someone from our list.
Ooh, who's it gonna be from our list? Or is
Giveaway?
it Cy
Giveaway?
Burns?
Giveaway?
Oh, Corbin Burns. Let's do it. Advertise that giveaway.
All right, so here's what I'm gonna do to give it away. I'll make a quick little YouTube short, tweet it out. All you need to do is comment whether you think Burns is going to make the Hall of Fame or not.
Oh,
Maybe give it a little bit of reason. Give me a little bit other than saying yes or no. Give me some backup why. But make sure to tag someone else and let them know too that we're giving away this Corbin Burns autograph card for free for just following us on Twitter, subscribing on YouTube. But anyways, a righty from the USA who's not a starter.
no, he's 29.
Just what about it?
It's
Alec Bohm.
Yeah. Could be Hoskins.
Let's do it.
it can't
Send
be
it.
Bum. Oh, it is the Central.
Nolan
Is it-
Arenado.
Oh God,
There you go. A little
not
bit older. A
Arenado.
little bit older, slowly but surely. Oh,
No,
shoot.
So maybe younger. Nolan Gorman?
Gorman's a lefty.
He's a lefty. Is it really, really young, like Mason Wynn?
Yeah.
D-
Yep. It's got to be.
Hey,
Let's go.
Way to be, Mason Wynn.
there we go.
I'm gonna have to look for it. I don't think it's here. I have his autograph. I have his
Whoa.
Panini draft picks autograph. So it's probably not
Sick.
worth that much, but
Not an autograph, but
yeah. Yeah. Giveaways, long episodes, team buildings. This was a great episode, boys.
It's a banger.
great episode.
Yeah. What do you say, Nash? Why don't you round it out?
There you have it. Again, be on the lookout for that giveaway on wherever it will be posted. Don't forget to go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us a comment and rating wherever you are listening to our podcast. And until next week, you just attended batting practice. Now you're ready to get in the game. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.